The Nazi regime, from 1933 to 1945, unleashed a reign of terror unprecedented in modern human history, characterized by systematic cruelty and calculated brutality. Driven by extreme ideology, Nazis pursued aggressive racial policies and inhuman practices targeting millions, leaving scars still visible today. They methodically inflicted profound suffering through mass murder, torture, human exploitation, and ruthless persecution, often justified deceptively as necessary social or scientific advancements. Each atrocity represented a distinct but connected expression of Nazi fanaticism, meticulously planned and executed with chilling precision. These shocking actions revealed how dangerously an authoritarian regime could weaponize hatred, prejudice, and unchecked power to annihilate human dignity. The destruction of WildHistory. In June 1942, following the assassination of Nazi official Reinhard Heydrich by Czech resistance fighters, Hitler ordered brutal revenge upon the small Czech village of WildHistory. Nazis executed all 173 adult males, while women and children were deported to concentration camps. The village itself was completely leveled, erased physically from maps, and its name outlawed. This atrocity became symbolic internationally, highlighting Nazi willingness to commit violence against innocent civilians purely for retaliation. The village's eradication galvanized global opposition to Nazi brutality, prompting widespread condemnation from Allied nations and a significant propaganda defeat for Germany. The site remains today a powerful memorial to innocent lives extinguished by senseless cruelty. The Lebensborn program. Established in 1935 by Heinrich Himmler, Lebensborn aimed to produce racially pure Aryan children through orchestrated breeding programs pairing women deemed racially desirable with SS officers. Secret maternity homes operated across occupied territories, particularly Germany and Norway, and thousands of children were forcibly kidnapped from their families in Eastern Europe for racial re-education. Lebensborn produced approximately 20,000 children, leaving survivors grappling with lifelong stigma, lost identities, and trauma. The program embodied the Nazis' obsession with racial purity and genetic engineering, demonstrating how the regime's extremist ideology penetrated deeply into personal and family lives. Post-war revelations sparked lasting ethical debates on racial policies and state-sponsored eugenics. Forced sterilization program. Between 1933 and 1945, the Nazis forcibly sterilized approximately 400,000 individuals under the law for the named Prevention of Hereditarily Diseased Offspring. Victims, labeled as genetically inferior, included the disabled, mentally ill, deaf, blind, epileptic, or simply socially undesirable. Sterilizations, often conducted without anesthesia or consent, left victims permanently infertile, traumatized, and stigmatized. This atrocity embodied Nazi Germany's ruthless determination to eliminate genetic weakness, shaping a horrifying precedent for further abuses. The discovery of the sterilization program post-war deeply influenced global discourse on medical ethics, human rights, and the protection of vulnerable populations against state-imposed violence. Action T4, Nazi Euthanasia Program. Initiated secretly in 1939, Action T4 systematically murdered roughly 250,000 disabled, mentally ill, and chronically sick Germans through starvation, lethal injections, and gas chambers. Framed deceptively as mercy killings, these murders served Nazi ideologies of racial purity and economic efficiency. Despite official termination in 1941 after public outrage and church-led protests, killings covertly persisted until 1945. Action T4 set the ideological groundwork for mass extermination later implemented in death camps, revealing a disturbing moral decay within German society. Its exposure illustrated the devastating consequences when medical practice is twisted by extremist ideologies, permanently impacting ethical medical guidelines globally. Nazi medical experiments. Between 1941 and 1945, Nazi doctors conducted horrific medical experiments on concentration camp inmates, primarily at Auschwitz, Dachau, and Ravensbrück. Experiments included forced hypothermia, surgical mutilations without anesthesia, deliberate infections, and chemical warfare tests, causing unimaginable suffering and death. Thousands were maimed or killed in these gruesome experiments, justified falsely as medical research. Revelations from survivors and documented Nazi records during the Nuremberg trials stunned the world, shaping modern bioethics through the establishment of international guidelines like the Nuremberg Code. The atrocities underscored medicine's vulnerability to ideological corruption, marking a dark historical milestone in medical abuse. Einsatzgruppen massacres. Between 1941 and 1944, Einsatzgruppen or mobile Nazi killing squads murdered approximately 1.5 million Jews, Roma, communists, and civilians across occupied Eastern Europe, often in mass shootings conducted openly in forests, ravines, and fields. At Babi Yar, near Kyiv, 33,701 Jews were executed within 2 days in September 1941. The sheer brutality and scale of these massacres, documented meticulously by Nazi forces themselves, shattered any illusions of ignorance or innocence among German soldiers. Post-war investigations laid bare horrifying details, confronting Germany and the world with undeniable evidence of mass murder and permanently altering historical understanding of complicity in Nazi crimes. Nazi slave labor camps. Between 1939 and 1945, Nazi Germany exploited over 12 million forced laborers, enslaved from across occupied Europe to sustain their wartime economy. Slave laborers suffered under inhumane conditions, starvation, beatings, exhaustion, and approximately 2.5 million died due to relentless cruelty and neglect. Major German corporations, including Volkswagen, Siemens, and IG Farben, profited directly from forced labor, highlighting corporate complicity and atrocities. Revelations post-war exposed shocking collusion between Nazi brutality and industry, leaving a legacy of ethical accountability that forever changed global perspectives on human rights within economic systems, underscoring the vulnerability of human life to ruthless exploitation. Nazi human skin and body part collection. From 1940 onward, Nazis, notably at concentration camps like Buchenwald and Dachau, harvested human skin, bones, and organs from murdered prisoners, crafting them into grotesque items like lampshades, gloves, book covers, and decorative ornaments. Infamous Nazi figures, especially Ilse Koch, actively collected tattooed human skin as souvenirs, symbolizing their deep moral depravity and utter disregard for human dignity. Though smaller numerically compared to other mass crimes, the sheer personal violation and macabre cruelty involved in these actions profoundly shocked post-war audiences. The exposure of this practice after liberation vividly demonstrated the depths of Nazi barbarism, leaving a lasting impression in public consciousness and permanently shaping the historical understanding of Nazi atrocities as beyond ordinary human comprehension. Gas chambers and industrialized extermination. Starting in 1942, Nazis systematically murdered approximately 3 million Jews, along with tens of thousands of Roma and others, using gas chambers at extermination camps such as Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec. Designed explicitly for rapid, large-scale murder disguised as showers, this method represented industrialized genocide, systematic, calculated, and horrifyingly efficient. Liberation in 1945 exposed humanity to an unprecedented reality. Mass murder implemented on a factory-like scale, permanently reshaping global perceptions of evil. Gas chambers became symbols of mechanized genocide, influencing international human rights laws, Holocaust remembrance, and global efforts to prevent future genocides. Holocaust, the final solution. Planned in detail at the Wannsee Conference, January 1942, the Holocaust systematically exterminated 6 million Jews and millions more Roma, disabled, homosexuals, and political prisoners. Employing a network of concentration camps, ghettos, mass shootings, starvation, and forced labor, Nazis aimed to annihilate entire populations considered inferior. This unparalleled atrocity, fully uncovered after Allied liberation, shocked global consciousness profoundly, redefining human understanding of genocide. The Holocaust's staggering human cost permanently altered global ethics, prompting the establishment of international human rights frameworks and providing history's starkest warning against unchecked racism, hatred, and totalitarianism. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below.